Thousand Words podcast. If you are listening to this podcast for the first time, this podcast was inspired by a quote from Fred R. Barnard. And the quote goes, "One picture is worth 1,000 words." So each episode, we have a photographer present 3 photographs, one photograph from their early career that they are most proud of, one photograph that they are most proud of overall, and one photograph they haven't shown anyone yet that they are extremely proud of. So I'm extremely excited for today's episode. We have one of my close friends and fellow MCAD homies from college, Miles Phillips. I met Miles 6 years ago. Probably more than that, 7 years ago. I don't know. In Minneapolis, when I attended the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, we were both into the same things. We both loved music. We both loved smoking spliffs, and we both loved getting into some reckless photography shit. So we used to do rooftop photography and street photography, and we've driven out to random places before together. Yeah, pretty much all over the board. So Miles, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for coming on. How you doing today?
Thanks so much for having me, Tyler. Always a pleasure. And yeah, man, just happy to be here. So thanks for having me.
No problem at all, man. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Been really busy lately, photographing real estate listings and some aerial work, and then doing some Web3 NFT explorations on the side, and working on a book as well. So pretty much just all in photography now. It's just like all I really think about. So I still skateboard and play guitar here and there, but that's pretty much all I do now.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a dream come true for a lot of us out there to only do photography in some way, shape, or form throughout our days, every single day. So you're definitely one of the lucky ones, and very blessed for sure. You're out of Colorado right now, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm living in Denver at the moment.
Awesome, man. How has living in Denver kind of, shaped your work or changed your work? Because you recently moved there, right?
Yeah, I just moved here a little over a year ago, March of 2021. 2021. Yep. I think it was a weird adjustment because I used to shoot a lot of golden hour and like harsh lighting, harsh contrast, things like that. And as I began to travel and see a lot of different types of weather environments and types of light and types of architecture in cities and different landscapes and things like that, I started to kind of experiment more with varying types of light. And especially when I was working in the Midwest, there was a lot of clouds and like low contrast lighting. Coming back here, it only rains. It's ironic that it actually rained today, because it usually doesn't rain at all. And it rains like, I don't know the exact number, but something super low, like 10 days a year or something. And it's just blue skies and sunny. The rest of the time, it's high elevation, so we're really close to the sun. So I'm like back in that high contrast, like sort of golden lighting, really warm, stark shadows. I didn't really know what to do at first. And I honestly didn't shoot much of Denver. Like I've shot landscapes out in like nature of Colorado, a couple hours away in many different directions over the last year, but I didn't shoot any like photos in Denver. Like I'd take like a phone one here and there. But then I really started to think about that light. And one of the photographs that I'm going to be sharing today actually holds some of that really stark Western, high contrast lighting. So it actually inspired me to start shooting film again. And I'm really into those like low ISO daylight films at the moment. I do shoot a little bit at night too, but I'm really into like Cinestill 50D and like Kodak Gold 200 and Kodak Color Plus 200, that kind of stuff. So
that is awesome. Yeah, that's surprising to me, honestly, because like some of my favorite work I think you've ever produced was the landscape work that you produced in Nepal, right? And so hearing that you were in this kind of mecca or, holy grail place for natural landscapes out west in Colorado. You have the Rockies right there, right? So that was surprising to me that I wasn't seeing a lot of Colorado work. But it makes sense if you were going through a transitional phase, and your reasoning for it makes complete sense for sure. But I'm glad to see you kind of back into that swing and kind of exploring your backyard a little bit, and maybe, flexing a little bit of those Miles landscape muscles that I know you have developed over years and years and years. So I can't wait to see some of that work, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, it's exciting to be out here. It was also a little bit startling at first. Like, I think there's certain areas of the United States that are commonly forgotten, and like commonly overlooked as like scale wise. Like, I know a lot of people come out here to ski and stuff, but some of these hikes, man, oh my God, like insane, just immense landscape views where you can just see as far as your eye will allow. And it's like you can seriously just like see forever. And I actually have a couple friends that have invested in binoculars as well for that reason. And this is the only
Nice.
place I've ever lived where like people have binoculars, and that's like a common thing that people have in their closets. So I'm probably gonna get a
Nice.
pair too, honestly.
Well, I'm glad I don't live there because, I love Leica everything, and I'd be buying the Leica binoculars and somehow justifying the price for that. So I'm glad I don't live in a community where I feel like I'm left out by not having a pair of my own binoculars. So, but that's very interesting. I didn't really know that about Denver or about Colorado in general, but it's only something you really start to pick up on if you live there for a while. So yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. I learned something about Colorado today because of you. So that's unreal. You'll have to get a pair of binoculars and post it on Twitter, and let everybody see your new binos.
Yeah, man. Without a doubt. For now, I guess the 120 millimeter Leica lens will have to do. I love that lens too, though. My gosh, it's just like, I think the aperture is like 1.5 or something. Like it's nuts.
Wow.
I'm like not using it enough. I know it's like complete tangent, but just like,
Dude, that's
you
awesome.
have any equipment that you have just like sitting around that you're just like, why am I not using this? And like it's like a waste, right? Like I hate seeing
Yeah.
things sit on the shelf.
Oh yeah. No, definitely, man. I definitely I mean, I have a Canon C200 cinema camera, and I haven't turned it on in like 6 months, right? And people say if you haven't used it in 6 months, you're probably not going to use it in the next 6 months. So I probably will use it in the next 6 months just because I want to challenge myself to like not fall into that trope. But yeah, no, it definitely can happen for sure. But I don't know, that Leica lens. I don't know if I can let that Leica lens sit on the shelf for too long, because Leica's like longer lenses, I feel like are much more rare and underappreciated because they're harder focal lengths to work with outside of like landscape or fashion or like certain work, right? So they're not as multi-purpose as like a wide or a medium lens or something like that. But they are so sharp, and they're so creamy in the way that the focus fall off happens. And they're definitely underappreciated and rare. So I'm jealous you have that long Leica lens, man.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And honestly, I got it for a steal. I think I paid $80 for it. It's like
That's unreal.
an eBay find. Just probably somebody didn't really know what it was, or it's one of those things where it's so outdated and so specific and so unique. Like there's not people are looking for like, the Summicron C and things like that. They're looking for
Yep.
these wide lenses that are ideal for street photography and things like that, which like I
E39.
primarily use those. Yeah, yeah, and it's amazing. It's amazing stuff. And like I
E39,
use,
man.
yeah,
35
yeah,
millimeter Summicron.
amazing. I mean, like amazing stuff, right? But like I'm excited to explore it because I have used it a little bit, and it acts as a macro lens. But like I said, 120 millimeters. So it's close, and you have to be far from the subject. And I guess I started with macro photography. when I was using the Canon PowerShot G12. It was my first digital camera years and years and years ago, and I got like a little macro lens for that. Um, and I used to make these like really abstract textures that are kind of like my aerial photos are now, but they were tiny, right? Um, and I don't know. I feel like I explored that so in depth to the point where I got bored of it. And so now the idea of reverting back to macro is pretty foreign to me. So I'm not exactly sure what to do yet.
Interesting. I like that though. It's like the world is wide open, right? You have no idea what you're going to do. There's beauty in that, right? That means like you're going to try everything until you find something that you really, really like and want to kind of hone in on. So that's awesome, man. I can't wait to see that work as well, dude. Because I don't think I've ever seen. Actually, I might have seen one macro from you, but I'm not 100% sure I've actually seen that much macro work from you. So that'll be really cool to see your kind of your take on it now and how much you've changed as a photographer compared to like earlier in your career and stuff like that. So, but yeah, thank you, Miles, for the wonderful, warm introduction and for all the alpha that you dropped on everything. Basically, I might get a pair of binoculars as well. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. But yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know Miles, I'll read his biography real quick. Miles Phillips is a fine art photographer, fine art travel photographer from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. For 11 years, Miles has been visiting unique global locations to create surreal landscape photographs. And this description definitely doesn't do Miles justice as well at all. Miles is a wonderful person, an extremely intelligent person, and a very close friend of mine. Inside and outside of photography, he's an incredible photographer, and yeah, I know he's going to go far because he pays attention to the right things, and he's learning every single day. He has one of the most open minds that I've found, and learns from mistakes very quickly and just keeps going. So yeah, Miles, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Miles has 3 photographs to present, and we are going to pull up the first photograph right now and take a look at it and then ask Miles a little bit about it. So let me pull it up real quick. All right, guys, this is the first photo that Miles is going to present today. This is one of my favorite photos I think I've ever seen from Miles. I absolutely love the composition of this photo. I love the simplicity in this photo. I love how minimal it is, but there's also so much going on at the same time. I love the split frame and how there's kind of 2 different scenes going on combined into one. That golden light is obviously one of the first things I notice as well, and that harsh, long shadow from that afternoon light. It's just a gorgeous frame. So yeah, Miles, tell us a little bit about this photo.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tyler, and I'm excited to share this photograph. This is a photo that I took in Los Angeles when I was 15 years old, so 10 years ago today, and right around this time of the year, actually, as well. So um, it was a really interesting interaction, I think. I had never been to a city that busy. I had never stayed in a hotel so large. I had never seen um, such activity on the street, and I had never experienced that lighting that we're talking about before either. So the combination of all those factors was really fascinating to me. And I was really into architectural patterns and geometric structures and things like that, both on a macro and large scale setting. But this was a very transitional phase of my photographic career where I was going more into those street and city scenes and looking for that high contrast light and trying to harness it in all of my photographs, really. So I was really fascinated by this interaction between these 2 people, as one of them was frantically going up the stairs on a business call, probably late for something, maybe had to fix some sort of issue in a quick manner. He was very much in a rush. The other one was going down the stairs, untying his tie, probably loosening his belt, likely walking to his car to go home for the day. And the polar opposites there, um, with this geometric composition, I felt was a successful way to tell the story. But as you can see, the lines in the middle aren't perfectly centered and they're not perfectly straight. And in all reality, like I had very, very little, other than darkroom processing, I had very, very little photographic training at this point and zero digital training. So I was really just going in and editing and shooting the photographs in a way that I wanted them to feel like. And it didn't have any like technical necessity or anything like that. So looking back in it now, I'm like, oh, I could bring this into Photoshop and straighten it up, and I could crop it to, like a social media friendly size or whatever. I don't want to do any of it. I want to leave it exactly as it is because 10 years ago, my eye was different, and I want to remember what that eye was like. So, very important photograph to me, and like I said, very excited to share it with you.
Wow, man, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I actually didn't know it was stairs until you said it was stairs. I didn't know what it was in the beginning. And that's kind of what I love about this photo is that story that you told. It adds so much to the photo. But I also think that there is like a layer of subjectivity in this photo as well. And people can kind of read it in many different ways for sure. Especially some of the details of the people falling into those silhouettes. I think it adds to the anonymity and the subjectivity in the photo. And yeah, like I felt different things than the story that you told. I almost felt that it was like the other way around. So for me, it was like the guy on the left was like more animated in his step, and his stride was really long. And so he seemed like happy that he was like, exiting. I thought he was the one exiting work. And the guy on the right was like, seemed like he, because of his pose and maybe like, how he looks a little bit, he almost looked like a security guy to me that was going to like stop this guy from coming up the stairs. So I almost saw it as like a representation of like somebody trying to stop me from doing what I want to do. And that's why it hit with me. But just hearing the story and stuff like that, it changes the piece for sure. And it I definitely love both the real story and the one that I came up with. And I think that's the beauty of art as well, is being able to read it in many different ways as a viewer. You spoke about like the photo being a little bit crooked, like not exactly straight and square with the the edge of the frame, and I didn't actually notice that at all. I read it very geometrically, and I didn't actually notice that until you pointed it out. And now I can't unsee it. Like, so I feel like I don't know, with this one, I feel like a lot of people would not have seen that. Yeah, wouldn't notice that personally, but I don't think it takes away anything from the photo or anything like that. It's just something I definitely did not notice the first time I looked at it. So, but yeah, beautiful photo. And I love the story as well of your first time going to Los Angeles, and first time staying in a high-rise like hotel and having your photo shown in this gallery. It's very inspiring for sure, and something that I feel like we all aspire to. So tell us a little bit more about that experience, and how did it go? Like, how did the show go? How were your emotions throughout that experience? And yeah, if you want to speak a little bit about it, I would love to hear more.
Yeah, so that experience was really, really important, and I got to visit a professional print shop for the first time and hand them, the hard drive with my work on it, and um, got to choose out some paper with them and that kind of stuff. And I honestly had very, very, very limited knowledge. So they were really nice and walked me through many parts of the process. But the gallery show itself was unbelievable. And to see where some of those artists that were also in that show have ended up now is mind blowing. I mean, some of them have gone to start their own companies, and others are pursuing master's degrees and doctorates, and some of them are still pursuing fine artwork like I am. And yeah, it's just like really, really inspiring. And I feel very blessed to have gotten connected with such an amazing professional artistic community at such a young age. And I think with that experience going into college and then, after college and uh, running a business and then also continuing my fine art business on the side and hopefully one day becoming full time at that. Um, I like to look back at that show as um, kind of the first thing that made me realize, this is really possible and this is a community that exists and you're not alone, and there's artists out there that think differently than you in a good way and the same as you in a good way and everything in between. And so yeah, it was really, really inspiring, and I hope to get back into the gallery space a little bit more in the future. After the pandemic, I really, really started to search for digital routes of presentation and things like that in order to be able to have people viewing it. And I think now, while COVID still exists and whatnot, the opportunities of meeting in person are becoming more prevalent. And yeah, I feel like I got really out of touch of it. So I'm excited to get back in.
Awesome, man. Well, I mean, I wish you the best of luck, and like I said earlier, like it's just a matter of time until all of these pins get knocked down one by one. So I can't wait to see where you end up as well. You spoke about the artists that you were in the show with and where they are now, and how inspiring that is to you. I think that's going to be a similar path for you. So yeah, I can't wait to see where it goes. And I just want to thank you for presenting this banger as the first photo, because it definitely slaps, man.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, I really appreciate your kind words. And I haven't shared this with anybody in years. So super excited that you gave me the opportunity to dig it up again. And it's making me rethink my work a lot. So I appreciate that.
No problem, man. I hope there weren't any spiders in the cobwebs when you were digging this one out of the archives. But yeah, definitely an amazing photo, bro. All right, guys, this is the second photo that Miles is going to present today. My initial thoughts on this photo are I was honestly pretty wowed and in awe of this photo. I absolutely love where Miles took the colors in this, and how experimental and surreal and abstract he took the color palette. And I love it. I think it has the right amount of saturation. I think that the color choice for each part of the scene was really beautifully done, and it was really, it seemed really intentional to me as well, and really stylistic of Miles as well. Definitely reminded me of your work immediately. So yeah, I love this, and the fact that it's a drone shot, and I don't think anybody honestly doing kind of surrealistic photography with a drone and with drone photos. So also a really unique approach as well. So yeah, Miles, take it away, man.
Thanks so much, Tyler. This second photograph that I'm presenting today is entitled Anini Beach Sunrise, and I created it on Anini Beach on the island of Kauai in the Hawaiian Islands. I was really fascinated by the lighting and colors of the scene. I used to edit my hues quite a bit and get really experimental with them in a certain phase of my photography a few years back. Um, and this kind of reminded me of that, although the difference is the colors are almost completely natural. I did some basic editing of vibrance, saturation, tones, but for the most part, the colors are almost exactly as they were in real life. And it really kind of changed my perspective in a way because I'm still fascinated by unique and vibrant hues. Um, but it's one of those things that instead of editing it in post processing, I'm now trying to find scenes in real life that actually replicate that experience, that actually are surreal on their own. And by photographing them in a certain way, hopefully I can replicate that feeling to the viewer. So I noticed this woman in red was running across the beach, so I talked to her and asked if she wanted to be in the photograph. So if you look close to the center of the image, you can see her running across the beach. And I was really, really intrigued by the sunrise light that was coming from the lower end of the image, which would be the west, of course. No, the east. God dang. When the sun rises in the west. Yeah. So reset that one. Yeah, I was very intrigued by the lighting coming from the eastern part of the image, which is the bottom of the composition, um, during sunrise, and it was giving this really nice reddish magenta glow to the coral and to the red leaves that were falling on the beach, as well as the sand. So most of the colors there are pretty close to the way they were in real life, and yeah, it just inspired me to want to search for more places like that. So the moment I took that photograph, I knew I was going to be publishing it and minting it and printing it in some sort of fashion. So it was a really exciting moment, and I think it changed the way that I see for the rest of that trip as well.
That's amazing, man. I mean, this photo, I did not know that the photo's colors were close to natural. So it definitely tricked me and definitely gave me like a surreal vibe for sure. That red is just like insane contrasted against the blue. It's just such a beautiful juxtaposition in color. I didn't actually notice the woman running across the frame. And I'm glad that you pointed it out because that is super, super cool that you got her perfectly centered in the frame as well. It's just yeah, it definitely adds something to the image, and it's definitely one of the images that gets a little bit lost in translation when it's translated in such a small way, like in a computer screen or an iPad or an iPhone. And this is definitely a photo that, if it was printed huge, would definitely have a significant more impact and would be easier for people to read and understand. And it would translate much better, in my opinion. So it's a beautiful, beautiful photo. It's definitely one of my favorite ones that you've minted so far. So it's gorgeous, man. I am envious of the person who is going to pick this up. But if it doesn't get picked up soon, then I might scoop it up.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah, yeah. I think it makes sense to because you've known my work for a really long time, and you've seen me go through the transitions and whatnot. So you were there physically in the same city as me when I was going through that phase of like heavy photo manipulation in Photoshop and
Yeah.
like layering and like changing the hues and all that kind of stuff. But um I went through like a heavy like documentary style phase, and so now I'm trying to like blend the two in a way where I'm like, how can I find what is real and still kind of tap into that realm, if that makes sense? Because I really um like exotic colors and exotic palettes and like um the psychedelic sort of look that you get from the mixture of the two. So I had never seen that stark blue with that stark red before in the wild. It was always something that I had to like do in post, and like it just became so sterile to me. Like the idea of, oh, I can always do this in post, you know, I can always change it, I can always make it look however I want, whatever. And then you see it in real life, and it's like, no, that is real. And there's no convincing that needs to be done because anybody could look at it and be like, yo, that's insane. But like, why does it look real? You know, like,
Yeah.
um, and so, yeah, I've been trying to capture more videos as well as I'm going to places like that. So I have like videos of the process that went behind capturing this photograph as well. So I'm excited to share that soon too.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it just shows that like you continue to challenge yourself as an artist and push your work forward and challenge yourself as well to try to do new things, but you're always bringing miles into every single one of those steps that you take on your path, and that's something that I think that everyone can learn from for sure. Is just continuing to maybe push the envelope of your own work and your own process, and not abandon those things that you fell in love with in the first place when it comes to expressing yourself artistically or photographically, but just also being open to taking it and applying it in a different way, and maybe you'll get a more impactful result, right? Which is the perfect example of this photo is the perfect example of that. That process of trying to find a new way to do it that is still miles. I mean, this screams miles to me for sure. Just your style and your history as a photographer definitely shows in this for sure. But yeah, I think it's an amazing photo, dude, and it makes me want to go and see this place, honestly, and experience the kind of pink in the sand and the red in the trees. And I had never heard of a place like this in Hawaii before. So really, really cool experience that you talked about, and a very unique photo for sure. It's definitely, yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, I really appreciate your words, and yeah, I think it's just another one of those things that I want to keep exploring and hopefully get to explore with other photographers as well. One of my biggest goals of the next coming years is to go on trips with photographers and only photographers and collaborate together and um, try to seek out unique places together. So.
Dude, hit me up for sure. I'm definitely down to go, dude. Like those are the only trips I take anymore are with photographers. Like if we're not shooting the whole time, like I'm not going for sure. I'm gonna save the money and the time off, and I'm just gonna go shoot something then. But yeah, man, we need to take a trip together sometime soon, and just pick a place, maybe a small town in the middle of nowhere, in between you and me, and we can
Yeah,
rent a car, just road trip, like mini road trip, outside of that city, and just explore around and find random shit to shoot and stuff like that. Old cars on film type vibe, and old towns and diners, and old Americana. But yeah, if you're down,
speaking
man,
my language.
down.
Speaking my language, man. Yeah, I'm like literally everything that you just said is what I'm doing right now as well. Just like old cars on film in the middle of nowhere, and like it's crazy to see how like as an artist you can change in so many ways, but certain things just don't really get old. And like
Definitely.
I believe I actually can believe that I'm back in that spot. But like I was very inspired by you and like Randall and other artists like that are photographing those classic scenes, you know, and like very mundane, but at the same time kind of exotic in that like some of these cars you don't see every day or you only see once in your life, and some of these scenes are really precious. So I think street photography is unbelievable, and yeah, it's just that's it, man. It's great.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that trip, dude. I appreciate all the flowers too. Like, yeah, that's definitely what drew me to Randall's work for sure in the first place was just the similarity between me and his work. You know, we're both, you know, me and you and Randall are all gonna scream at the driver to pull over when we see a 1966 Lincoln Continental parked up,
Yeah.
you know, next to an old barn with no other cars next to it. Like, we're definitely pulling over, yo, like, for sure. So shooting maybe some Portra or some Kodak Gold or Color Plus, which you brought up earlier, and is one of my favorite film stocks ever, and definitely an underrated and underrepresented film stock out there for sure. But yeah, man, I love Color Plus, and I need to shoot some soon.
Yeah, that's a great stock. What did I shoot with that? I just shot a roll of that and I have yet to develop it. It's like because I shot it like last week. But I want to say that is the first roll that I took on my day-to-day route. So like I've been taking my Leica CL um with whatever role. I mean, it daylight stuff because I'm out working, shooting listings and stuff. But um, I actually want to say I was in one of your spaces like right after this happened. It was last week when I was telling you about like the dust devil that I drove through, like the
Oh yeah,
insane storm, like the tornado action.
yeah.
Um, right before that, I got a photograph of a second generation mint condition black Corvette in the middle of nowhere. And like
Wow,
that was on that roll of Color Plus. So coming soon.
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's incredible. I can't wait to see that shot, dude. That's fucking awesome. Yeah, Color Plus it holds a special place in my heart. It makes like brown, dead, melting snow winter in Minnesota actually look good because the browns are so beautiful in Color Plus. And it took me a long time to figure out that like kind of muted oranges and yellows and browns are like where Color Plus is at for sure. Took me a long time to find that, but once you find that, you know, mahogany wood and you shoot it on Color Plus, like it makes you not want to go back to gold or to Portra. It's just the yellow and the red and the orange and the way that they almost like, you know, turn brown a little bit. It's just it really complements certain scenes or certain subject matter. So that's why I really love Color Plus personally. But
That's super interesting, man. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. But I yeah, after hearing you say it, definitely makes me want to explore it a little bit more. And I would agree, it's a super underrated film stock, like not talked about enough, but also who cares? Like that means we get to buy it more. So
exactly. Hopefully it doesn't price hike like everything else.
yeah, for
Um,
real.
but yeah, thank you so much, Miles, for presenting this photo. Absolutely gorgeous frame, man. Yeah, it's just a banger.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
All right, this is the third photo presented by Miles today, and this one is an absolute fucking banger, y'all. If you can see this photograph blown up on your computer screen and see all the detail and how beautiful the black and white edit of this photograph is, and just yeah, it's absolutely a gorgeous frame. It's definitely going to do very well as a big format print. So, yeah, Miles, can you please tell us a little bit about this banger?
Thanks so much, dude. Yeah, I'm really excited about this photograph as well. This was in my trip to Hawaii as well, but this was on Big Island, Hawaii. I had been exploring the Volcanoes National Park um, for a few days, like 3 days, and I was there during the rainy season, which had its benefits, but um, because of the way that volcanoes work, and I'm not a scientist, I don't know too much about it, but I know like they trap moisture really easily. So it could be sunny outside of the park, but it was raining quite a bit at the park. And there's a road that you can take called I want to say it's the Trail of Craters. And basically, there's like 13 different volcanic craters that you can visit, some active, some dormant. And at the end of it, you get to the ocean, and there's this massive field of magma, hardened lava. And I didn't know that the first 2 days I was there. I was like going to the different um, craters trying to get photographs at the ones that weren't raining super hard at. And basically, one time I just decided, like, I'm just gonna screw it. I'm just gonna drive all the way to the end of the trail, and I'm gonna work my way back. And whatever I hit, and what I don't, I don't. Um, when I saw the ocean and I saw this massive field of lava, immediately the sun came out, and I was like, almost mad because I was like, I'd been missing this opportunity the whole time, but also I did get some nice moody photographs during the rain of the other areas. But this was one of those ones where I saw this view and I went all the way down to the coast and photographed down there and everything. But coming back up the hill, this was the last view of the magma field that I saw before I had driven through the rest of the road and gone to a different area of the island. I got out and I took this photograph, and the magma was pure, dark, hardened black lava, very, very dark. And the ocean was kind of a medium blue, and so was the sky. And I liked that combo chromatically, but I didn't really feel like it was representing the tones of the magma correctly. So I switched to in-camera monochrome just to see what it would be like, and ended up capturing this image, and I was completely blown away by the results. And after bringing it into Photoshop to bring up different tones and mute others, and bring down that blue a little bit as well, I started to notice the textural components. And yeah, I was just really intrigued by the different textural components of that. And after capturing this in monochrome, it really inspired me to shoot more in monochrome again, because I started in the darkroom with black and white photography. And although this was digital, it did really remind me of the importance of that process and why certain images look better in black and white and why certain images look better in color. So now that I'm shooting film again, I'm starting to explore some black and white stocks as well, and noticing that it's really, really changing the way that I shoot and the way that I think, because knowing that the image is going to be in grayscale, you look for different things. And it doesn't mean that I don't photograph colorful scenes, because sometimes certain vibrant colors can still render really beautifully in black and white. So yeah, I'm just like thinking about these things a lot more. And yeah, this was just an insane view. I haven't printed or published this anywhere, as you know. Haven't shown it to anybody but you.
Awesome.
But yeah, man, I loved taking it. I think that was the best thing, is just like shooting the photograph. And I haven't published black and white work in years, so it was just, that was for me.
Thank you so much for sharing this one. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a departure from your usual style and what I kinda expect when I expect the Miles Phillips photo. So that's why I was really happy that you decided to share this one. Definitely looks like an alien landscape, like straight out of Interstellar, like another planet for sure. It's just the texture in that lava, like you get it, like you get it right away. And my eye just like gets pulled into those details and wants to travel throughout the entire scene. So I just really love the photograph itself, and I love that you decided to choose black and white, because I think that if the sky was really blue and the magma was really dark and kind of dark gray, like your eye would immediately be drawn to the blue, right? To the most color and the most like, high saturation color in the scene. And that's not what you're supposed to be looking at. Whereas the black and white, like I almost have to look at the left in the ocean and the sky because my eye just keeps getting pulled into that high contrast detail of like, just the foreground and the amazing magma. So I really love this photo, and I love that you kind of went through a creative process in the scene, right? I think that that's something that we need to take stock of. I think it's really easy to get anxiety when you're like by yourself and driving and around in this new place, and you want to make sure you see as many spots as possible and you don't miss anything, right? But just taking that moment to take a couple extra shots in a different way, right? Like switching the camera to black and white and just seeing if that changes your composition or the way you approach the same scene, and just approaching it multiple times and kind of working the scene, right? I can't remember who was the photographer who said that, but that, you sharing that process as well is really inspiring, and something that I think a lot of people need to take note of for sure is just, slowing down just a little bit. You don't have to slow down so much, and stop your process and like interrupt the way that you do things normally. But I think that, taking a couple extra frames, and just kind of playing around is the beauty of digital photography, and making decisions in real time, but also being able to make those decisions in post and being able to flip back and forth between color and black and white to see which one, gives you the best outcome. And I do think it teaches you a lot about film as well, and about photography, because if if you're thinking in black and white and then you're thinking in color, that's already a process that's been in film for a very long time. So once you go to film, you kind of know what you're going to shoot or what's going to look better in black and white versus color, because you've already started to do that process and practice it in a digital medium where it's a little less restrictive or, cost restrictive type thing. So I appreciate you sharing all the other alpha as well on top of the photo, because I think that you taught a lot in there as well.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you bringing up those words about black and white or color being a choice. And I think it really is. And especially what you're saying about the blue sky and the blue water as well. If this were in color, it could potentially detract from the image. But also, in terms of the choice of doing grayscale, I just really, really liked the drama that it brought. And, just like the sheer attention to those details and textures that I think color could distract from potentially. So, yeah, man, I love black and white photography, and I didn't do it for a really long time, as you know. So it's exciting to be back, and I'm not going to stop doing any of the color stuff either, but it's got its own fascination for sure.
Dude, I can't wait, man. You're working on so much stuff in secret right now, and yeah, some of it is along the lines of your previous stuff, and some of it is kind of a departure and an experimentation of your previous stuff. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see where it all goes, and I'm excited for your next steps in your journey, and all the photographs that are gonna come, because I feel like we're just getting started with seeing what Miles can do, like when it comes to fine art photography. I know you've been around for a while, but I have a feeling that the more that you experiment, the more you'll start to show things that maybe no one has thought of or no one has seen before, because you have one of those brains that thinks about how to make something new or make something that no one else is doing. So I just want to tip my hat off to you for being that way as well. So
Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate that. And I say the same about you, which is why we're friends. So I love
real
unique work.
recognize real.
Yeah, yes, sir. I love unique artists, and I love unique places and unique foods. And I don't have the desire to do the same thing twice ever. And I know you're the same way. So thanks, man.
No problem. So thank you so much, Miles, for being on the podcast today, and for being my friend for so long. I always appreciate it, dude, and I'll love you forever. So, yeah, it was an awesome episode. Is there anything else that you'd like to plug at the end? Anything that you have for sale right now, or maybe any collections coming up, or collections you have out right now, or anything like that?
Yeah, thanks so much, man, for having me on, and much love to you as well. It's been an amazing journey over the years. I am super excited to keep seeing what you're up to and sharing what I'm up to as well, as we move forward. Um, I have some work on my Linktree. It's just Linktree Miles Phillips, Phillips with two L's. And then I also have my website, milesphillipsphoto.com. Um, I have a couple NFT collections out right now, and we'll be releasing some prints soon. But the biggest project that I'm working on right now is a physical photo book of the work that I created in Hawaii. So it's a slow grow. I don't have a release date yet. It's going to be a little bit because I just really want it to be high quality. But as far as NFT collections go, um, I will have some things coming out soon. But as of now, I spent a lot of time ideating the work that I already have out. So I'm pushing that, and yeah, like I said, the Hawaii work is out, and then I also have some additional one of ones and a edition of a photo I took in Chicago. So um, we'll see what's next, but yeah, the book is the biggest thing that I'm really excited about. So thank you.
Awesome, man. I already told you I have a book pre-ordered from you, reserved from you. So I can't wait to pick that up and get it in and take a look at it. Miles's debut book, which I'm super excited for. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on. And please, everyone who's listening, check out Miles's links. Miles is also on Twitter and Instagram a lot as well. Twitter more often lately. Instagram is Miles Phillips Photo, Phillips with two L's, and Phillips, and Miles P Photo on Twitter. His Linktree is Linktree/Miles Phillips, Phillips with two L's. That's two L's one more time for y'all. But yeah, check him out. And he has collections out. He does print sales every once in a while as well. He does private sales to his network of collectors as well. So get in contact with Miles if you have a large wall that you need really high quality fine art drop shadow frame or metal print, or yeah, just talk to Miles about it. He's very familiar with printing his work really large, and has worked with a lot of spaces and collectors in the past doing that and building his own frames as well. So yeah, Miles is a resource for all of that information. I'm sure the listeners can reach out as well if you have any questions about printing, or about large format or DPI, or what resolution you need to print huge. Miles is very versed in that. So yeah, definitely tap in if he's okay with that. Are you okay with that, Miles?
Absolutely, more than okay with that. And I would love to learn from y'all as well. So please reach out, and I will share any and all knowledge that I can.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Miles. And thank you for everyone who's listening to these podcasts and tuning in. I hear more and more people in spaces talk about the podcast and how excited they are for the next episode. And I'm just really blown away by the support. So I appreciate every single one of you guys that follows me and retweets and listens to this podcast. Please share it to all your photographer or artist homies that want to get inspired or learn something about photography that they might not have known before. So I will catch you guys in the next episode. Have a good one.